There is a particular kind of fear that arrives all at once. No warning, no build-up, just the sudden understanding that something has gone profoundly wrong. This is what awaited two campers in Brazil when they turned their camera toward the darkness surrounding their tent.
Ai, meu Deus do céu! Vocês estão entendendo o quanto de jacaré tem aqui? Ai, meu Deus. Eu tô na barraca literalmente pra acampar. Vamos dormir aqui, guys?
Teu cu. Vamos
Ferrou meu...
What it captured stretched in every direction, dozens of luminous points of light, low to the ground, patient and unblinking. Alligators, on all sides, every exit covered, every direction blocked. Both men made it out. But there are places on this earth that tolerate human presence only on terms that were never yours to set. The eyes did not need to attack to leave a mark. They simply needed to be there. In March of 2025, the YouTube channel known as Sort of Interesting selected a riverside location for a stealth bivvy camp.
It's only at this point as well that I realised I forgot to fetch my little stool, so I'm really sat cross-legged here.
At this point in the evening, I've got to say it was almost impossible not to be happy.
The afternoon had been mild. By dark, the temperature had dropped sharply, and the cold that settled in along that riverbank was the kind that makes shelter feel less like comfort and more like necessity.
I found a really old cheap envelope bag to go over my really cheap old mummy bag. I've got my inflatable pillow and we've got an inflatable mat beneath us. I'm hoping the ground isn't going to be too hard and there's going to be nothing particularly sharp beneath all that.
The location was busier than expected. Dog walkers, families lingering at sunset. He stayed concealed in the vegetation and noted to his camera that the night would require patience. Eventually the path quieted. The light faded. Then footsteps. A dog walker appeared without warning, close enough that instinct took over.
I almost jumped out of my skin because a dog walker came down behind me, so in a bit of a panic to make sure they didn't think that I was milling around in that particular area, I had to immediately start walking in the exact opposite way of the bivvy.
He abandoned his bivvy, waited in the cold until it was safe, then climbed back in and pulled his layers tight. It was some time later that he noticed the light.
I'm almost too scared to breathe here. I think a dog or something just came in. I was half asleep when, with no prior torchlight, a lot of animal-like rustling broke out. Then suddenly in the darkness, a loud crack sound really woke me with a start.
A flashlight, moving slowly along the bank. Close enough to illuminate his bivvy from the outside. He turned his camera on to document it, unzipped, and looked out into the freezing dark. A dozen yards away, a figure stood completely still, facing him, silent. He said hello. The figure said nothing. It turned and walked away into the darkness.
Hello?
Right, I'm just going to use the phone light now and I'm just going.
He lay in the cold and listened. He did not know whether it had left entirely or simply moved somewhere it could no longer be seen. That distinction between gone and watching from somewhere else made sleep impossible. He packed up and left in the middle of the night.
I'll forget it. Let's just go. Right, I'll use the phone now. I'll keep the phone recording just in case anything else happens, and I'll use it as my only light.
Whatever that person was doing on that riverbank at that hour, they never offered an explanation. They didn't seem to feel they owed one. In December of 2021, a YouTuber known to his followers as Novice Wild Camper drove out to the Peak District for one final camp before the year closed out.
So I'm back out in the Landshan tonight, after the last windy camp. I've done a few mods to the doors, so I'll show you what I've done to it. It's a little bit different from what most other people have done, but I am getting the, I don't know if they're titanium, but the metal rams hook clips that you get from Z-Packs. I'm not ordering them because they're like $4 to buy, $30 for delivery, which is mad. So, but I have a secret supplier coming over from the States, who I will mention when I get them. So, yeah.
His destination was White Edge on Big Moor, open moorland, wide skies, and enough distance from civilization to make the silence feel like something you had to earn. He was alone. The evening began exactly as he had hoped. Pink light bled across the horizon as he made camp. Low mist settled in the valley below. He cooked dinner, filmed the kind of footage that makes people in warm living rooms wish they were somewhere colder, and signed off to his viewers with the easy confidence of a man who had done this before and knew how the night was supposed to go.
It's not too bad. I'm quite exposed here, but there's no real wind, so should be fine. Got my usual soba noodles for this evening, and my leftover adventure food. I didn't eat it on my last trip. I literally just got up in the morning. Right, so the noodles are done. The addition that I've got to my kit is a down quilted ditty bag, whatever you want to call it. It's basically a pouch, down quilted pouch from Valiant Peak. So this is designed for putting your electricals in, your batteries, trying to keep them warm, so give them a bit more battery life.
He was in his tent by 9:30. That is when the sounds began.
Right, so I've heard deer, I've heard foxes make some really weird noises at night. But I don't know if you heard that. Not sure if the camera picked it up, but God knows what it is.
He described them as guttural, low and deliberate, not the sharp crack of a startled animal, not something distant moving through the valley below. This was close, and it did not stop.
It's quite a weird guttural sound. I'll try and boost it on the edit, see if you can. See if you can hear it, because that is really weird. Did you hear that? That's quite eerie. It does not sound like a deer. Definitely doesn't sound like a fox.
He put in his earbuds. He zipped his sleeping bag tighter. He told himself what campers always tell themselves in the dark, that there is an explanation, that sound carries strangely over open moorland, that the Peak District is full of wildlife. Whatever was outside his tent was not interested in his reasoning.
Odd. Right, I'm going to zip up and put my earplugs in, I think. Try and get some sleep, and hopefully I'll still be here in the morning. Good night.
He turned his light on and reached for his camera. And it is here that the recording becomes difficult to explain.
Good morning. I'm acting like I've just woke up. It's about 7 o'clock. I've been up since 5. Just trying to get some morning shots, which I posted up on Instagram and Facebook. Don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a very weird sounding bird
Sounds like a kookaburra with a sore throat. It's not going to do it now. It's fairly close to camp, but apart from those weird noises last night, it was a very quiet one. Took ages to get off to sleep, but slept okay in the end. I haven't checked the thermometer, but when I checked it in the middle of the night, it was about 2 degrees.
Because he was mid-sentence, describing the sound, looking directly into the lens. When it came again, Liv captured, unmistakably real and unmistakably close. That footage has since been reviewed by campers, wildlife enthusiasts, and people with no agenda other than curiosity. The consensus is consistent. The sound is animalistic. And no one, not hikers familiar with the Peak District, not wildlife experts who have listened to the clip, has been able to say with confidence what made it. Red deer, fox, bird of prey, none of them fit. He was up before 5 the next morning, photographing the sunrise, the night already softening into memory the way unsettling nights tend to do in daylight. But the recording does not soften. It does not change. Whatever stood in the darkness just beyond that tent wall on a cold December night, whatever made that sound, remains unidentified. The moor, as far as anyone knows, is still there. So is the footage. Christine had been living out of her van for several days when she decided she needed to reset. The road had worn on her, and the particular exhaustion that comes not from distance, but from accumulation had begun to settle in. A solo backpacking trip through a forest in the deep south seemed like the right remedy. A few miles of trail, some quiet, a night beneath the trees.
I've done nothing. I am starting to feel better, and I just want to ride that wave of just continuing to do a little bit at a time to help myself feel better and do the things that really take care of me. So I'm sitting outside my car, outside my home, at a trailhead, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I have it in me to go on a backpacking trip.
She had no idea what was waiting for her in those woods. The sun was already past its peak when she started down the trail, later than ideal, but she wasn't asking much of herself. Just movement, just air.
Getting out, started on the trail now. It's pretty quiet out here. It's lovely with the birds singing, and every now and then the wind comes through. When I was still getting ready at the trailhead, I encountered 3 young men who are out backpacking on this trail as well, and they let me know that a couple of them had done this trail before.
About a mile in, she crossed paths with 3 young men heading the other direction. She asked them about camping spots further in. They mentioned clearings near the water crossings, deeper in the forest. The interaction was friendly enough. As they walked away, Christine was alone. She pushed further in and eventually found a promising clearing to make camp. But something kept her moving. And it was then that she began to piece together something she had been registering without fully acknowledging.
You ever just come across somebody and the energy is just off? That is what's been happening to me a little bit today. I'm about 3 miles in and I found this spot that I would really love to camp. But just as I was getting here, I saw somebody that I've seen twice already today. The first time I saw him, he only had a water bottle in his hand, no backpack or anything. And I saw him at the trailhead where I parked my car as I was still pulling things out of my car. And at that point, as soon as he saw me, he sort of turned around and headed back onto the trail. I've seen him 4 times, I just realized. And then I saw him as I was hiking. I had started with my pack up the trail, and he came from behind me, still with just the water bottle.
She had seen the same man 4 times. First, at the trailhead. He was carrying only a water bottle, no pack, no gear. And the moment he noticed her, he turned and headed back down the trail without a word. She thought nothing of it. Then, shortly after she began hiking, he appeared suddenly behind her. Same man, same water bottle. She stepped aside and let him pass. The 3rd time, she spotted him at a trail junction. It looked at first like he was loading things into a car, preparing to leave. But he was retrieving a backpack. And the 4th time, as Christine crossed a bridge deeper into the forest, he was there again. Backpack now. Watching. She was careful in her own account not to make accusations. There is nothing inherently wrong, she acknowledged, with a person being on a public trail.
I literally just got across this bridge that's behind me, and it was filming some of the wild azaleas. And there he came from behind me again, this time with the backpack on, like an overnight backpack. And I said, "Oh, hello again." I might have even filmed that, although I didn't film him. And again, he just said hi. There's nothing concrete that's wrong with any of that, but it's the feeling of it.
But instinct does not traffic in technicalities. And Christine's instinct, miles from the nearest road, was telling her something she could not ignore. She found a clearing adjacent to her chosen campsite and decided to explore it.
Over to this area that I was looking across at, you see, there's the bridge, you can see that. And then the backpack's right there. I was thinking I was going to camp over there, but I looked over and I saw this area here, the clearing, and I thought, you know what, that's a bit more hidden from trail. I might feel more comfortable and secure over there, so I came over. Why is there a trail cam pointing to that campsite? I don't really know how those things work. Maybe it's not visible on the camera, but like, what else is it pointing at?
That is where she found the trail camera. It was camouflaged, deliberately positioned, and it was aimed directly across the river at the exact spot where she had planned to sleep that night. She returned to her campsite and looked back across the water. She could make it out from there, a small, patient eye in the tree line, pointed at her.
Okay. Like, here's the trail cam. What is it pointing at? Putting my camera right behind. My backpack is right there. That's where I was going to camp. Like, that's an established campsite. Looks like this one is too. But what the heck is going on here?
She packed up and left. On her way out, she encountered a group of local hikers and described what she had found. Their reaction was unambiguous. Trail cameras in that location were not normal, not incidental. They told her to report it to the Forest Service. This was not paranoia. The instinct that had been quietly accumulating all afternoon, the man at the trailhead, the man behind her on the trail, the man at the junction, the man on the bridge, had been correct. Something in those woods had been paying attention to Christine long before she realized she was being watched. She made it out. She filed the report. Whoever placed that camera in the trees across from her campsite has not been identified. The forest, as far as anyone knows, is still there. So is the clearing.